true blood in spite. It's not what I ask for, not what I asked for. More than a sinking ship, more than just petty doubt. If you loosen your grip, the world will know who I belong to, who I belong to. Who has the final say, can't keep my mind straight. We are too young, we are too young. Closing the blinds, block out the sun. Birthday candles burn, 22 millions. Counting the spaces we need between the bad days. Another year passed, and friendships get colder. Things taken in stride, and plans pushed aside. I don't feel any older, don't feel any older. Living without the trust of getting what we want, and we are all caught up while our dreams gather dust. What I belong to, who I belong to, who has the final say. We started too late. We are too young, we are too young. Closing the blinds, block out the sun. Birthday candles burn, 22 millions. Counting the spaces we need between the bad days. Not at all depicted to be the hollowing of art is a withering ring. We are too young to feel these things. Life ain't the way it seems. We are too young, we are too young. Closing the blinds, block out the sun. Birthday candles burn, 22 millions. Counting the spaces we need between the bad days. We are too young, we are too young. Closing the blinds, block out the sun. Birthday candles burn, 22 millions. Counting the spaces we need between the bad days.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and oh, there he is.
Cheatham.
He's got a little reveal for you there. Oh, it's so good to be back, everybody. Glad to have everyone back. Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung.
How's everybody feeling out there?
I think it's
What about y'all allergies? I was going to say.
Congested. I had all my allergy problems for 2
Man, we
months
just talked
straight.
about loosening up, and you're
Listen.
getting serious with allergy problems.
Allergies can be fun. You asked about the allergies, so I had to.
You did lead into
I
it.
did.
Yeah.
I know.
I
I
had
just
all
didn't
those
know we were
problems
going
2 months ago,
divulge medical stuff.
and now it's all good. I feel like spring is here.
Yeah.
How
It's a little
good do you
chilly.
feel? Oh, it is chilly. That is the one problem I've had.
Yeah.
Is the weather's not been spring
Up
like
and
it
down.
all.
It's
Well, that is
Kentucky.
spring. Spring is still
Yeah,
brisk.
spring. You got
That's
frost.
true.
Spring still has frost
Yeah.
in the grass and little. But I saw a rabbit when I came here. That's spring.
Yeah.
Spring, man. Little rabbits.
I don't
up
know.
around.
I don't know about that.
Little rabbits and deer and owls, and they go through
You've
the
seen
meadow.
deer around here?
And then they find a skunk
On
in
the
the
side of
meadow.
the road.
Yeah.
Dead.
And when they see the skunk in the meadow, the deer says bird, and it's not a bird. So then he calls it flower.
Bambi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen Bambi?
Yeah.
And then like a creeper flower says,
All right,
it's
all right,
all
here's the
right.
thing. I'm
He
gonna
can
make
call
a-
me
I'm gonna make
Flower
a
if he wants
confession.
to. You've never seen Bambi. I
I've
know,
never
it's
seen
okay.
Bambi.
Yeah.
I swear
I've never seen Bambi.
He's never
to
seen
Bob,
anything.
I can't believe you've never seen Bambi.
I know.
Like-
but
It's actually artistic. Like the animation is gorgeous. I mean, there was a lot of technological achievements they made with that movie, as
Yeah.
far as animation
Yeah.
goes. That I mean, are really brilliant. So.
well, I mean, but here's the problem.
The mom dies. I mean,
Wow.
Oh shoot!
like I love
Kept
how
it
you
PG.
tried to keep yourself
Keep
from
it
saying
PG.
the actual word. I was like, oh shit.
I don't. know
I
the
actually
term-
did know that being the one
I'm
big
pretty
twist.
sure you
I
know
actually
the term
knew.
for it, but I don't know the term. Where
What?
they layer and like because they use it like the Panic I just knocked my camera around. Anyways, but they do like the whole like
Yeah,
background
yeah.
and then they layer with the glass and everything and it gives it like the depth.
Yes.
I was hoping you knew the term because I know you.
I don't.
Dang.
I know- I
would.
knew it.
Nathan
Yeah.
is at home
If Nate-
screaming right
yeah.
now.
If he's watching right now,
Hey,
he could
Nathan,
actually.
yeah, can you give us an answer, bud?
Shout us out there.
Come on,
Any one of our
He's-
listeners
he's
or
not-
viewers
I don't
now.
see
Is he
him
not
on here.
watching?
He's not on
probably
here.
not.
What the heck is his
I'm gonna have to
problem?
Google
know.
it because I don't want to let our fans down. We
But-
don't know. You know.
It's sad.
We
Why would I
don't
know?
know.
I haven't seen the movie. But Bam, all right, I
Well,
have
you knew
seen
the
a lot of
technique
great.
because you had seen it used in other Disney movies.
True,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually, I did watch a whole documentary on like how it was actually pretty ingenious. They
Keith
put it
it
on
is.
like
It is brilliant.
they put them on like glass panes.
Yeah,
and
yes,
basically
yeah.
what they did
and they
is they
paint
had like
the glass panes.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
and they had the layers of the scenery like going back one another on the glass panes, and as the panes themselves moved, it mimicked the idea as if you were walking
through the woods.
through the
Yeah,
woods.
It's
And
really
I
awesome.
mean, it was. It is pretty cool.
Fantastic way to start off a podcast.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, Shauna, you know another great way?
Hmm?
Could you do that again? What are you drinking there?
What?
What are you drinking?
He's drinking a cup of
Brewed coffee.
Brewed coffee?
It's beans
But what
that come off a plant, and you crush them, and then you bake them
I don't know if it's necessarily what's in the cup or if it's the cup.
on the cup. What?
Could
Did I
that
spill something?
could you hold that up?
Oh,
to
I
the
can.
camera?
Oh yeah, product placement.
Yeah.
Hell
wait,
yes.
There you go. Check that out.
MOON.
I'm telling you, when you have a moon
that
cup,
spells
when you have a moon cup,
stupid. What?
it's the best tasting Java Joe in the world. I'm just saying.
It makes your cheap Kroger coffee taste like gold.
It is cheap Kroger coffee.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie. It is.
Probably not even. It's probably from
Hey,
Ollie's
hey.
or something like
What?
that.
There's nothing wrong
Big
with
lots.
Kroger coffee.
No, their donut shop coffee is very
Yes,
good.
It is good.
I've not had a good Kroger cup of coffee yet. I'm
Oh,
not.
yeah, you're
I drink
buying-
it. It's cheap, but I don't. I've not had one. And I'm too,
Donut
Well-
shop's good.
I don't like it.
Really?
I don't like it.
I don't know what to
Okay.
tell you.
All right. Well,
You're
you
a
know. All right.
snob.
We got a great show planned for.
Yes, we
everybody.
do.
We do.
We got a
There's
great
lot
show.
of interesting things going on.
As you saw in our headlines there, hopefully before the show ran, we got quite a bit to cover. But the big news on the block: James Gunn back in
Ow.
for the director's chair of Guardians
There's
of
a
the
lot
Galaxy.
Of, lot of
Yes.
interesting things around
Yes.
that. So yeah.
Anytime a big corporation like that has to eat their own words and like ask somebody to come back,
Or-
I love it.
I think that's really the big
I
news.
love
Did
it.
they eat their own words? Because there's a thing
Well,
going back and forth.
yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
get into that.
I get that, but
I think they did. I think
still,
they did
yeah.
have to eat their own. But we'll
Yes.
see.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
get
We're,
into
we're going to definitely
Yeah,
dive.
yeah.
That's our big headline this week.
thought you
Big
said
one.
We were gonna dumpster dive.
We're gonna
I was
dumpster
like,
dive into James Gunn's
It's a
life.
fire dumpster or dumpster fire. Or how? What is that? What it
No,
is?
dumpster fire.
Dumpster
Yeah,
fire. That's
dumpster
the
fire.
That's the, term.
phrase now.
That's
yeah.
the term. You got it. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right on.
Who coined that?
I don't know.
That was it was a politician. That,
What? I don't think it was
No,
a politician. I
it's
think
a
it's,
whole-
that's been around
recently-
forever.
Recently, somebody said dumpster fire, and that's what got it. Like
I don't know. I've
that's what
heard
started
that.
the
I've
dumpster
always
fire on the
heard that
internet.
as just that's just
Yeah.
a phrase.
I've heard
I
that
don't
my whole
know.
life.
Yeah, I just heard that
I
as.
don't know.
But the first thing we got to do, like we do every week here on
Every week.
Do we have to?
Here.
yeah, I mean, otherwise Keith would probably get mad because he did all this work for nothing.
Yeah.
So should we just skip the movie
do I
review?
do work? Oh yeah, yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. Actually, it's a good movie this week.
It is.
And we've had Netflix,
A surprise?
Well, we've had Netflix in the headlines here recently because they've been attacked by people in the namely Steven Spielberg, who's trying to say that they don't deserve their place. So it's nice when they kind of punch back with, "Oh yeah, well here's this movie for you." So
Okay, so then why don't we jump right into it? Here is our review of the Netflix original film, Triple Frontier.
despite the attacks of some high-ranking naysayers, Netflix continues to produce and purchase top-quality films. Whether to pad their already enormous catalog or to continue their bid for Best Picture winner, a bid that came very close to paying off this past award season. Their latest original film, Triple Frontier, may not be the overly serious or art house film that Roma was, but it still boasts some talent and major entertainment along with a hefty dose of suspense, as the film constantly leaves you on the edge of your seat. Directed by J.C. Chandor, Triple Frontier tells the story of 5 former Army Special Forces operatives who are reunited when one of them comes up with a plan to assassinate a Colombian drug lord and steal all of his money. Starring Oscar Isaacs, Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam, Garrett Hedlund, and Pedro Pascal. Through the course of the film, these 5 soldiers and friends have their friendships tested and must face impossible odds to get back home. The film covers some heavy topics such as the mental role of being a soldier, greed, friendship, and the repercussions of doing something you know is wrong, even if it's with good intentions. The cast is phenomenal with heavy hitters like Isaacs, Affleck, and Hunnam. The bulk of the film leans heavily not on the action, but the interactions amongst its leads. While these men face gunfire and insurmountable terrain, it is the conflict within and amongst themselves that really pushes the movie forward. Particularly Affleck, who gives a terrific performance of a desperate father and husband grasping at straws to make sense of his place after war, and whose greed, not necessarily just for money, but for the stability of his family, is a catalyst for a chain of obstacles that plague these friends. It is not just Affleck that makes this descent in character, as each soldier soon must face their own demons, and all must come to the same choice between survival and reward. The movie could have been a straightforward action heist film, with the added splash of it being pulled off by former military agents against a Colombian drug lord. That alone is a unique take on stereotypical heist films, and could have provided plenty to be entertained by. But the film offers a few more twists, and by adding in the emotional and psychological elements on top, you get a riveting film that has you hooked until the very end. Triple Frontier is the film that starts off as any ordinary film of its genre, yet it's just entertaining enough to string you along until you find yourself blindsided by just how good the film really is. It may not revolutionize its genre, and won't be competing for the 2020 Oscars, but through the use of quality ideas and writing in a unique setting, Triple Frontier sets itself apart. I give Triple Frontier 3 out of 4 stars.
All right, 3 out of 4 stars from Keith Cheatham. It is a good movie. It is good.
I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, we got to watch half of it together, and then and held hands the whole time.
Oh,
and then,
they're kind of like Dumbledore and Grindelwald.
No.
intense sexual relationship.
Exactly. That's what was described. Yeah.
Did you get to see the whole string of texts?
Could you pull that up? I know some are a little inappropriate. But honestly, like some of them are too good to pass up.
There is. I'm gonna show it to the camera briefly. This was,
I don't know about. Hold on. Yeah. This is some of the great things you got to do.
Now we can't blur.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
This is what you got to do.
I said briefly.
Whenever you have the video feed and you're watching us live and you're not listening on the podcast, which you can catch every Friday.
I will read
still,
the clean ones.
This is why you need video.
This you're not gonna be able to see it, but
pull it up. Pull it up.
Whole string of I didn't want to close enough to get too much in there.
Oh, it's kind of.
Can you see the camera?
No,
you're looking at.
You can't see nothing.
Well, read off some of them.
This is all these responses people posted after she came out with, because she's always coming out and adding things.
Oh gosh.
Yes,
I did. Yes. Oh man.
Yes. Right after someone just said great production value.
Great production value.
That's
what happens.
He made a foobar.
When you forget to hit pause.
Anyway,
on your playlist.
Immediate responses, because she's always adding new things to oh yeah, by the way, back when I wrote them, I already knew that this was this case and this was that case. Yeah. So finally, to quote from some Facebook users, damn it, J.K. Rowling, stop Lucasing your heritage.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
That is the best
J.K.
one.
just needs to stop talking. No effing shit. You wrote it, J.K. Well, I mean, it's like you wrote it. I hope you know it.
True. It's true.
She needs to have her Twitter disabled. And then this one's pretty
she needs
good.
to get something in her Twitter.
There's the meme going around where it's like, nobody, and then it's like somebody else who just inadvertently just spews their own thing and nobody asked. So basically, nobody, and it's blank because nobody was wondering. And then J.K. Rowling comes off with, Hermione was secretly a furry and intended on turning herself into an anthropomorphic cat. Sorry, I can't stop laughing. Also, Snape was a power bottom. It's like people are just tired of her tagging. It's like And it's fine if like it's originally part of your story or this or that.
Well,
but
I think
at this
that's
point,
the
it's just they're
problem.
tired of her just tacking things, just like with the second movie and the whole Dumbledore having a secret brother. It's like they're just tired of it. It's like it doesn't fit, and now you're just tacking things on because you want to
it's the
make
exact same.
It's like George Lucas.
It is
yeah.
exactly. I was gonna say that was the best comment because it is exactly what happens when your creation is finalized. It's done.
Yep.
But you need to have a bigger success than
So you just keep
what
on
it are.
keeping
Yeah,
on.
you just got to keep adding crap, and
I mean,
this is what
Harry
it turns
Potter,
into.
That's all she's got. I mean,
That's all
that's
she's got. Anyway,
That's
Yeah.
all she needs.
We got
Yeah.
What
that
does
is
she
all
need more? She had
we
7
got a
books.
little off track from
Yeah, we
Triple
did.
Frontier there, though.
All right,
Because
all
I do
right.
want to give them their due.
That's true.
yes.
Enough about JK. She's just going to Lucas her.
So
her-
3 out of 4 stars, Keith.
Yeah, no, I thought it was. It wasn't at all what I was expecting. I mean, I read what it was about. I saw the actors in it, and I mean, it's got a good cast. I mean, when you have Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam, and Oscar Isaac, those are good actors, anyways. And Ben Affleck gives, I think, one of the best performances he's given in years. Honestly, it was impressive. But I read it and just thought, okay. I mean, it's going to be this action heist movie with these soldiers. They're going to go in, blowing crap up, and stealing whatever, and it really is a lot more subtle than that. There actually is a lot more depth and emotion and character development. And I wasn't really expecting that. I mean, the route that the movie takes, because I mean they pull the heist off pretty early on. I mean it goes pretty quickly, and it's more about them trying to get away with what they've done and facing all of like these obstacles, whether it be the cartel that they just ripped off. They have all these men after them. They have to get over the Andes. They have to try to carry all this money and find a way to get it across. And
Real quick. Whenever you hear the term Andes and you think of mountains, do you ever think of those mints?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I just
I'm
wanted
not
to
a
ask.
mint person, so it doesn't come to mind for me.
No, the Andes mints.
No.
They're
Okay.
good.
That was.
Little
I just
chocolate
wanted to throw that
mints,
out
yeah.
there. It's the first thing
What's
I
up,
thought of when you
Jacob?
said it.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, what's interesting about the movie isn't so much the heist as them dealing with the repercussions of what they've done, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah.
impressive, especially as like they're fighting and arguing amongst themselves, and knowing that they can't really turn back now on what they've done and how it affects. It's going to affect them, especially with there's kind of a moment towards the end. Where a major event kind of takes place while they're trying to get over the Andes, and that obviously affects like everything from the rest of the movie on, and it is really well done. Like I said, the acting's great. Ben Affleck really, I think, gave a performance that I haven't seen since. I mean, I can't even. I mean, even in like Argo and The Town, which he directed, like he was okay, but like he wasn't spectacular. I think his performance in this was better than those movies. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean.
I agree with just about everything Keith said in the interview. I mean, in the review. I did I watched it twice.
Yeah?
Actually.
Oh, wow.
The
All
first
right.
time we watched about halfway through, and then we had to come over here and do last week's show.
Yeah, we had to.
And
come
I mean,
finish.
we just you have to
I
do
mean,
it.
why do you want to do this?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
I just ruined it.
I got home that night and went ahead and finished it, and then I watched it again a couple days later.
did.
And it's kind of funny because like the first time I watched it, that's the kind of movie you described as what you thought you were going to see, this action heist movie. I thought the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, well, it's kind of like a Italian Job and Gone in 60. It's one of these movies where you think, okay, these guys are really the bad guys, but you're going to root for them because you want them to
pull the
heist off and get away with the cash. And in a way, I don't want to give too much away for someone who hasn't seen it because there is a little bit of a twist ending or whatever.
Ooh.
But I did want to point out that the first time I saw it, I was like, well, they did kind of get away with something, but the second time I watched it, I had a completely different reaction to it because I started to realize that these guys who were special forces soldiers, and they 20 plus years of experience, and there's so many things that their training taught them to do, but their training was no match for the greed that they had. And these guys go in, they have a very well formed plan thanks to Ben Affleck's character, and a lot of things just fall apart, and their training goes to crap,
And it's all
because of the greed.
Yeah.
And I got the message the second time I watched it that really sank in, just about it doesn't matter what you think you've prepared for, like there are, and
you could be your own worst
right,
enemy.
right, yeah. I don't want to use the word sins, but I mean there are things out there like greed and temptations and stuff that will completely throw you off your training and out of sync with what you've come accustomed to. And these guys do their job very well. It's very well executed towards the beginning of their heist, but then there's so much money and they want to take it all that they, I noticed I read one review where this lady says, like, this is so unrealistic. The special forces never blow a heart out. And for those of you who don't know what a heart out is, like a quick exit. Like, they have a plan. It's like, at this exact time, we're out. No matter what, we're gone. And, they push it to the limit to get more money.
And a lot of that driving force at the beginning has been Affleck because, he made the plan. He's like, okay, we could spare this much time. And it really is, like I said in the review, him fighting with his own demons. And he's like, well, if the more money I get, the more I can solve my problems at home. And
right.
You kind of see that.
One bag was enough to solve his problems.
Yeah.
And they're talking tons, like literal tons of money, more than they ever imagined. And then, the helicopter only holds so much weight. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, no, well, let's put some more in there. Let's see. It'll make it. And
but basically, greed got in the way of their main objective.
Completely destroyed their professionalism.
Like I said in the review, like, when they start out, like, they have, like, this whole, like, even Oscar Isaac is like, well, what we're doing is we're taking out this drug lord, so what we're doing is a good thing.
Yeah,
even though
they're trying to justify
even though it's not government sanctioned, it's a good thing. And they kind of, that's what I really liked about the movie, is how it shows that no matter how you justify it or how you could say, okay, we're doing good here, they still did wrong.
Right.
And that wrong and the fact that they bit into that temptation is what caused so much of their troubles. I mean, they never should have been there to begin with.
Right.
And if they hadn't, a lot of the terrible things that happened to them wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it tries to spin you on this course of, well, these guys were in the military. They did their service to their country, and what do they have to show for it? One of them can't afford a new truck. He's divorced and working as a real estate agent. The other one's a consultant. One's a kickboxer.
He's fighting
and
money.
Fighting in the MMA kind of thing. And it's just like, well, what do these guys have to show for their 20 years of service? I mean, the reason we're sitting here drinking coffee from a Red Moon mug is because of what these guys have done for us. And what do they have to show for it? They're living on the edge, and I get that. I understand that they felt like they were owed more, and here's an opportunity, but there's that's immoral. Right. And no matter what.
Well, the whole point is self-sacrifice.
Right. It tries to steer you in this direction of, well, what they're doing is right, but then by the end of the film, you start to really see that
they paid a lot.
They paid a huge cost, and
what they thought was they were going to walk away with a huge payday, and they ended up paying more than
yes.
In the terms of,
I couldn't have said it better.
I was going to say
actually,
it's not just the money that they're walking away with, but now all of the debt.
Yeah,
that is. I'm trying to make
not
it
debt. It's just personal. Like
the weight.
They had the personal cost was more than what the money would have been worth.
Right,
and this is why you're a writer.
But then at the end of the film, it doesn't end the way you think it's going to, and you finally feel like that they've, okay, they didn't make out with what they thought they were going to make out with. Things end up different, but then at the very end of the film, there's another temptation thrown out, and then it goes to black. And it's just like, so are they setting it up for a sequel?
Is it a sequel, or is it just kind of like, did you really learn your lesson?
Right, and that's exactly how it's left off. It's like you think after all of this is done that they finally realize that, man, we effed up and we did wrong, and we've, there's fallen people, and like, but then, well, here's a lottery ticket, kind of situation. Are you gonna try to cash it in, or are you gonna learn your lesson? And I don't feel like they're going to.
Okay.
So that's just kind of, it was a very good movie, but like I said, the first time watching it, I had a completely different experience than the second time. It was like the morality of it sank in.
Yeah.
And I did like, too, how they tried to, throughout their journey, they hand out money, like, to everybody that they had come in contact
they have
with.
to kind of
keep
pay
your
these
mouth
people
shut.
off.
Here's
Yeah.
$5 million.
Yeah.
Here, this girl did this for us. Here's $3 million.
Hush money, yeah.
Yeah, and it was almost like they had the money to give away, so it was like, in a sense, they were trying to make up for what they were doing, what they had done. It's like, here, generously, they didn't have to give somebody $5 million, but they do. And it's just like...
But it's like they're trying to pay off their sins.
They're trying exactly. They're trying to make up for their...
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, here we're going to throw out as much X amount of dollars as we can to make ourselves feel better about what it is we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Which is often, doesn't end up solving the real issue.
Solves nothing.
Towards the end of the movie, there was, Charlie Hunnam. His I always want to call him Hunan for some reason. It's Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam.
But his character is kind of like one of the more, I guess, righteous voices in the film.
Beginning, yeah.
Towards the beginning, and then even at the end, it's kind of like.
Even he's like, no, we're not getting rid of any more of this money.
Yeah.
So he ends up
and then and he's also the one that throws out the bait for a sequel, and I'm just like, you're the one who basically led them through here, saying like,
this is wrong.
This is wrong, and now by the end of the movie, it's even corrupted you.
There's a moment where they're like on the top of the Andes, and it's getting dark and it's cold, and one of them's like, well, screw it, we have to survive, and he starts lighting the money on fire. And Charlie Hunnam, who up to that point had been pretty much like, what we're doing is wrong, is like, what are you doing? Like, he's freaking out, but it's like, it's that or freeze to death. I mean,
Well, I think also he was worried about the fire giving away their position.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's wondering. I had to Google this, but the reason the movie is titled Triple Frontier,
is I was always wondering.
It was eating me up too. The area is a place that borders 3 countries.
Okay.
So when you cross that, you're actually crossing 3 different.
The triple, they call that.
They call it the Triple Frontero.
Okay.
So. That's what Wikipedia says.
So that's the name of the movie. Is
but
just where they're going through.
Check it out on Netflix because it's worth a watch. Definitely.
I mean, honestly, I'm glad it was on Netflix because it's a movie that I may have never thought about seeing, but I'm glad I did see it because it's a movie I would pay to see it.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw it pop up, we've talked about millions of times about how Netflix just kind of has throwaways now. And I thought this is just a big name like Ben Affleck tied to this. And it's going to be a throwaway. But after hearing your all's review,
he's good.
Yeah,
he does a really good job. And
they all do. I mean, even Charlie Hunnam, Oscar Isaacs, and I mean the other guys aren't as famous, but I mean I've seen them in other things, and they were good too. I just can't think of their names, sadly. I think Pedro Pascal
is.
And
he's actually in a really good kind of a movie that's, I think it is a Netflix movie also, called what was the name of the movie? Oh my God, I'll think of it in a minute. I'll look it up.
It's called the Netflix movie.
He's in space mining something or.
Growing potatoes?
Cloverfield Paradox.
Cloverfield Paradox.
I'm saying, I thought he was growing potatoes.
Movie was awful.
I thought maybe he was growing potatoes in space.
No,
that would have been oh gosh, we're not even.
Ben Affleck's
very good performance from Ben. I mean, I got a little shaken up and some of the.
I
mean, he doesn't really like. There is a moment where he comes to tears, but it doesn't really. But the lead in at the beginning of the film with him and his day job, and you can just see that it has ate away at who he is because he's a killing machine. He's a planner. He's a soldier. And he's having to be a real estate agent for a living, and he's miserable. And you see these guys
he's lost that sense of adventure.
Exactly. And that's why they're all willing to get back into it.
Right. So then 3 out of 4 stars for Triple Frontier.
Yes.
You can get it on your streaming service. Well, Netflix.
If you got a Netflix account, you can get on there and watch
Prospect is the name of the movie with Pedro Pascal.
Prospect.
Check that movie out too. It's very good. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Continue.
I'm glad you threw that out there.
Please.
So now
I did want to actually real quick because
we
did say we should give her a shout out, and I will. Aaron Ralph did. We could.
Yes, that's right.
The multiplane is the term. It's a multiplane camera is the term that Disney specifically invented. They actually used it in a few scenes for Snow White, and then it became more prominent in their later animated films. But I mean, it was even as early as that they had created this technology because it was very hard for them to create like forward motion and depth and animation.
Right.
Like for a feature, I mean, you could do it for like a short or this or that, and it takes a lot of time and resources. So this saved them a lot of time and money when making feature-length films.
Well, I think it's a testament to when you look back at that era. It's less about technology and more about practicality. And it's like you can't depend on computer-generated graphics.
And
you have to really you have to revert back to your thinking logically of like, this is all we've got to work with. So
Snow
how are we going to pull it off?
Snow White still amazes me. Like when I watch that movie and think this was made in the 1930s and it's a feature-length animated film and as fluid and as well animated it is, it blows me away even still today to think it's like, man, they made that in, I think it was 1937. But I'm just like, that's crazy. Yeah, that's
crazy. But shout out there to Miss Aaron Ralph for figuring that out or Googling it.
Good job, Aaron.
Thanks for doing that for us and not making us do it. All right, so let's move on from Triple Frontier and talk about,
movies. James Gunn.
This is the big news on the block, guys. So James Gunn is back as Guardians of the Galaxy 3's director. Disney doing a little backtracking here, obviously several months ago because of some old offensive tweets. Mr. Gunn was fired after 2 successful films, mind you.
Fired.
Fired. Yeah. Okay, so let's just dive right into that. So then speculation is that there really was there was firing because of the circumstances.
They say inside sources say that Disney never truly fired him. They had when they had because they had talked James Gunn met with Kevin Feige and I think Alan Horn from Disney several months ago, and people were hoping, they're going to hire him back, and they announced that they didn't. But apparently at that meeting between the 3 of them, they had said that he was basically told, we're not really letting you go, we're just letting this blow over, and then we'll bring you back. Now, whether that's true or not, nobody knows but those 3 people.
No, I'm not buying that.
And I feel like that's something Disney's saying now to try to save themselves.
Well, no, I think people are giving them too much credit, like they really planned this. I think they really are.
I think they had their butts in the fire. And
exactly.
They didn't know what to do.
Yes.
Because I really think what ended up happening was they got to the point where they were desperate to try to find somebody who was at least going to calm the mood of all these, not only just the major fans, but the whole cast
had
was
already
up in arms.
Yeah.
So it's like you really had this huge amount of time for to let this die down. It wouldn't have surprised me if when they met him back, because originally they fired him, they had the huge uproar, the cast came through with their statement, they all signed it, and then they ended up.
Batista never shut up about it.
Yeah, exactly. He never shut up about it, but it was after that signed statement that they all signed. Then what ended up happening was they brought Gunn back in for talks to see if they could kind of work out an agreement of some kind, and then of course Disney was like, no. We're standing firmly behind our decision to fire him.
They didn't want to look wishy-washy back then.
Right. Kind of like the Academy did all year.
Yeah.
And so
I was actually getting ready to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so they say they ended up sticking with their decision. Gunn is fired. And now it's almost like they're maybe thinking, this is where I do think maybe there's a little bit truth to the rumor. So maybe back when they kept their decision, they said, listen, we don't have anybody in mind right now. And we're not directly handing this back to you, but we just want you to know that we thank you for everything that's happened, and we're sorry that this is how it ended up. We'd love to give it back to you, but obviously because of I'm sure they had some good BS to shovel his way to give them to let him. And here's the thing, I give Gunn immense amount of credit to be like, you know what?
Because he could have just told them to go F themselves.
Exactly.
He could have pulled a Kevin Hart on him.
Right.
And just said,
and he had every right to be like, hey, I did nothing wrong. I apologized for this years ago. You all still fired me. So,
but then again, more credit to him for being a stand-up guy and saying, look, I've always thanked the people who stood behind me. This is more so for them than Disney trying to make. And he probably would even come out and say he understands it from their perspective from a business standpoint. But because that's the kind of character he's shown throughout all of this.
Yeah.
So credit to him. But I do think there was maybe not necessarily, hey, we're going to wait till this blows over and then we're gonna give you the job back.
I mean, back when this happened, it was in July. Everything said Disney fired. Like they would.
Yes.
If that wasn't true, I don't think they would have allowed that. I think they would have come out and said, no, wait a minute now. We didn't fire anybody. Guardians 3 is on hold while we look over all of this stuff, and then we'll, but no, they let everybody print that James Gunn was fired. So I definitely feel like they're walking this back now.
During that time is when you had the whole. I mean, you had
Weinstein,
Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey.
No doubt, we were in the thick.
That was the thick of the Me Too movement, And Disney wanted to save face. They didn't want even
Wait, isn't that kind of crazy that we're saying in the thick of the Me? It's almost like the Me Too movement has even kind of blown over.
It has.
To a degree.
It has.
It always does.
Yeah.
Like Hollywood always goes from one cause to the next until, and
I'm
you
telling
know.
you, Dumbledore is going to be straight next year. Like by this time next year, he'll be straight.
Yeah. As long as the masses go that way. No. I still think there should
whatever
be something
gives
else.
them the most money is what they're going to stick to. Or whatever they think gives them the most money.
Yeah.
Because
Or the most support.
They've shown in the past.
No,
that,
I was going to say I don't agree with that. I don't.
Yeah.
There's obviously they have some kind of moral high ground they think they're standing on.
Think they
but the
do,
problem
but
is they start shutting up about it more when they don't see the effect that they're hoping it will give them.
True.
When they think they're this moral crusader and people are like, I just want to be entertained.
This is what I think really happened. I think they fired him. I think, you know, cause, what's the name of his new movie coming out about the it's like a horror movie with the superhero.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
That came out. People got super excited. Nobody cared that James Gunn had made terrible jokes in a tweet years ago. Everybody wants to see this movie, and I mean, people are still supporting James Gunn. Then he got the Suicide Squad gig, and everybody got excited over that. And I think Disney saw
Brightburn.
Yeah.
Disney saw that audiences responded extremely positively to Brightburn. Fans got extremely excited about him directing Suicide Squad, and I think they thought, "Oh crap, what are we missing out on?" Because this man still has support from the audience.
Because and that honestly, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about with James Gunn's character and the fact that throughout all of this, he has been upstanding. He has constantly come forward and said, "I've apologized, but it is your all's choice, and I'll move on with my life. Thank you for the opportunity of having directed the last two films." And that was the thing is, you know, when you're talking about Kevin Hart and the Oscar thing, it's totally different circumstance. Hart's never hosted the Oscars. We had two successful films behind Gunn. So obviously Disney's sitting here thinking, well, if we keep Gunn in the director chair and do nothing, then it's going to look like we're the assholes because now we've got to keep this director to give us the cash grab we're looking for. But if we end up firing him, hey, it'll end up looking like we've done a good job because we chose morality over money. Understandable, except for the fact that when you actually truly forgive somebody and you give them a second chance, that can look a little bit more decent and honorable, and that's what Disney failed to realize.
Especially when
and now it does. It's exactly what they're doing in terms of backtracking.
But it's not like he was Harvey Weinstein or Kevin Spacey. Or
No.
it's not like one of these people where he actually
a couple
prayed.
of lewd tweets.
Yeah.
I'm just like, if you did that 10 years ago and you apologize for it, then there's nothing that needs to be forgiven.
Yeah.
So the moral high ground with Disney doesn't even exist if it's a matter of forgiveness.
And the
I just
amount
think it was they just did it all too quickly.
Yeah.
And then now they're having to, like we're saying, where they're having to eat their own words.
Right.
And
granted, I will say this. If anything, good on Disney.
Yeah.
For at least admitting that
they did wrong.
And they're now coming forward. Because honestly, like we've said throughout all of the Me Too movement stuff, is it's like it's not been bad for the industry in the sense that it has given them a precedent to say, if this is going on behind the scenes, this is not right. This isn't appropriate.
To it.
But also good on Disney for saying, yes, when it comes down to something somebody said, whether it was 10 years ago or even 2 weeks ago, it's like when it doesn't represent the actions of the person, and at the end of the day, Disney's willing to say, okay, we stepped in it, we were wrong, this person is obviously not the same person they were back then.
Yeah.
They've proven time and time again that this isn't their character, and so now we're giving them another chance. And to me, that speaks volumes for what another wave could come in all of these events, which is we are now giving people second chances, which who doesn't deserve a second chance at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And, you know, as a fan, like the moment I saw that headline that they hired him back, I was so pumped. And like I said to you, I was
Which,
like,
mind you, all this crap happens right after we get done with our show. So just stay tuned.
Yeah.
Breaking news is probably going to happen tomorrow.
I had to check and see who posted the articles. I was like, if it's the Babylon Bee or the Onion or something like that, and this is a joke, I'm going to be so pissed.
I told Brandon, I think this was I told Brandon that I first saw it on like some comic book website or something, and I was sitting there and I read it and I was like, is that true?
Yeah.
So then I actually Googled, because the article I sent you all was from Variety. I had to Google it, and when I saw like Entertainment Weekly and Variety was also saying, I was like, oh no, this is real. They really did hire James Gunn back.
It did.
I was pumped.
As soon as I got it, I was like, I saw it in your text, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And it's funny because, I mean, it's not like, because I have like links to certain websites that I get, information from. So it's not like
inside sources.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying. But I forget the name of the website.
That's all we
but
have.
The comic website, it's not like they've been unreliable in the past. It's just that they're not a dedicated film website.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw it, I was like, maybe they got something wrong here.
You're trying to say they're fake news?
They're
No,
dedicated when it's about a comic
right.
book movie, though.
But then when I said, when I saw everywhere was posted, I was just like, wow,
I
this
saw it
is
on Screen
crazy.
Rant for the first time. That's where I saw it.
That's
Yeah,
After I
so-
dive deeper, that was the first place I saw it.
But then don't you think Disney, having purchased Marvel Studios and all that, don't you think it's also a little bit like, okay, well, wait a minute now Warner Brothers and DC has hired James Gunn to reboot,
yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Yes, that's the other
And
big news that's come out
You
of
know,
all this.
that's a competitor,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, well,
they're okay
Well,
with
we
and
it.
don't
again,
want James
I
Gunn to
think
jump over to
all
DC
the
and
more
start
reason.
making all these great films.
True, and I think a lot of people.
I think that's part of it. They were scared that, they might.
They were losing a good one.
Yeah.
Well, but again, again, credit to Disney.
No, they did
for
right.
kind of knowing that,
Yeah.
and seeing that DC was like, we ain't got nothing to lose.
This
We
is
got-
our game.
We got to seize the opportunity.
exactly.
And right now, we're reading
Yeah.
public opinion, and that public opinion saying we're rallying behind this guy.
Yeah.
So we're going to use this guy to bolster up what
And,
we need to,
it was a brilliant move.
have a
'cause
renaissance.
Suicide Squad is a perfect franchise for James Gunn to come in and fix. Like that was a brilliant idea from DC. And
Yes.
I applaud
I do
them
feel
for having
sorry
that.
for. I feel sorry for the people who were in Suicide Squad and
The first one.
Yes, I mean
I
I kind
don't.
of. I'm
They
just. I mean,
sucked.
it was terrible.
That
I
movie
get it.
sucked.
But for it to come out and then 2 years later they restart your franchise,
Well, they
like
said it's gonna
slap
be
in the
like-
face to Will
That's-
Smith
they
and
said it's
Jared
gonna be like
Leto and
a
Margot
losing-
Robbie.
Every single one of them
Margot
I
Robbie-
slapped in the
Margot
face.
Robbie's still going to be.
She's coming back?
She's still.
Thank God.
She's still Harley. That's the.
Thank you.
I think that's the only actress and character they're keeping. They're
Good.
keeping her as Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Because she's supposed to be in the.
Yeah,
It was originally, I think, Gotham City Sirens, but now
yeah.
I think it's Birds of Prey. I
Birds
think.
of Prey.
But yeah.
she's
Birds
gonna
of
be
Prey.
in that.
That's what it is.
They're keeping her, but yeah, Will Smith's not. They've already said Will Smith's not going to be in
Now,
this.
see, what I would like to see is I would like to see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker show up in the
that would be
Suicide
cool.
Squad.
Well,
Well, it
and
depends
here's-
on how good that movie is too, though.
True, but I
Anything's
actually
better than Leto. Just
Oh
saying.
yeah,
no doubt about that.
Jack Nicholson was better than Leto.
But the thing is I do think
Caesar Romero was
because
better than
yes,
that's true. But I really do think that with the Joker movie, and already we've seen Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Aquaman surprising us,
huge surprise.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, Aquaman surprising us with its success and also how good it was, well received. I really do think maybe this is the turning of the tide.
It could be.
And
This-
so with him directing
Oh, yeah.
Suicide Squad, on top
Well,
of the
you
fact
still
that
have,
you still have the Joaquin Phoenix Joker
that,
movie
but
coming.
the new Batman movie from I can't think of his
Oh,
the guy that did the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Matt Reeves?
Matt
Yes,
Reeves.
Matt Reeves.
He's doing the new Batman. I think that could be what DC is doing now, which is what they should have always done. Is they're focusing on single movies first.
Yep.
Thank
Then they
you.
want Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, Batman, Suicide Squad. They're focusing on making each individual movie the best movie it can be. And then they said once they've done that, then they'll start thinking about crossing them over again. And it's like, thank you. That's what you
Yeah.
should have done.
They
to
started
start
with Justice League. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't start literally with it, but
No, but
it
I
was
mean,
like their
Batman
third
v
film
Superman,
was
yeah.
and those were terrible. Even Joss Whedon couldn't come in and save that film.
No.
Like, I'm just like, and there's another Marvel director coming over and crossing to DC, but I mean it didn't help. But I feel like James Gunn can definitely make a
No
very
doubt.
good Suicide
Suicide
Squad
Squad, yeah.
movie with
And
his style.
And I think
Yeah.
that's why ultimately you had Marvel kind of coming to their which it's sad that it took something like DC to say, oh, okay, well
Your losses
we'll
are
take your
gained,
dirty
yeah.
laundry and we'll make it clean. And then it was like Gunn's coming over here and now he's reaping all the
Coming over
benefits.
guns a-blazing.
Hey, it was good. So I honestly see nothing but good things. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
absolutely.
good things for Gunn, but really good things for all the fans too
Yeah,
involved
because
in the
we're gonna
Marvel
get
universe.
we're gonna get a good Guardians 3, I think.
And I think
Yeah.
a good
Suicide Squad.
Suicide
Yeah.
Squad.
Yeah, because the title of this is just The Suicide Squad.
Right.
Like they said it's not Suicide Squad 2, it's just The Suicide
Yeah.
Squad.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
honestly, again, kudos to them for. I don't care how long ago it was. They knew
Yeah.
the movie sucked, and they said we're going to reboot it.
Well, I read another article that was talking about how James Gunn may actually unite Marvel and DC fans because of him being such a huge hit with Marvel fans directing some of these films. Like he goes over and does a DC film and knocks it out of the park, And now you're going to have he says they're hoping that he'll kind of break a little bit of a feud between Marvel and DC fans and kind of just bring some Marvel fans over to watch DC films.
Well, and I think honestly the best way to do that is just make good movies.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
And honestly, that's the only thing I see here is as long as since they're going back to the original director of Guardians and they're going back to a source that hit all the right notes with those original two, I see nothing but good things coming for the rest of Marvel. Thankfully, Disney didn't shoot themselves in the foot with this. Again, happy that Gunn accepted their offer. Shows good moral character and high, that he's got the character to say, okay, thank you for offering it to me. I'll accept. And good on Disney for saying, we screwed up. We're sorry, and we want you back. And good on them for at least owning up to it.
I want to make this just because I think it's funny, but I did see someone made this comment online throughout all this stuff. It is crazy to think that DC, the company that owns Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was good, but still, they own Batman, Superman. Couldn't do those movies right. They were terrible. I mean, other than the Dark Knight, but I'm talking part of their universe. Yet Aquaman, the character that everybody makes jokes about, was their only other good movie besides Wonder Woman. It's like you own Batman and Superman,
the two
and you couldn't do that
biggest names in comic history, probably.
But you got Aquaman right. So
absolutely.
Who knows?
So I'm thrilled. I'm happy. Gunn is back.
Gun's back.
Are we ready to move on to our unique weekly segment?
Well, I don't see
well,
why
you
not.
already blew your load earlier, so
blow
it
what?
again.
Oh yeah, the music.
Yes.
All right, so
Come
here's
on.
our unique weekly segment.
Bring it on.
Multimedia.
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 That's right, multimedia, guys.
I love that song.
You love
just,
that?
it makes me want to
Hold
go
on,
watch
hold on,
Revenge of the Nerds.
I gotta hit pause again. I hit pause this time, so we're good.
Good
We're
job, Brandon.
We won't have random music.
You
just
didn't mess it
starting.
up this time.
Well, I tried not to.
You're a terrible man.
Are you ready for our multimedia question?
I guess.
Sure. Yeah, bring it on.
All right, let's throw it up there.
Throw it up.
What are your thoughts? We're getting a little nerdy this week. We're going geeking out, okay?
Yeah, multimedia. Come on.
I know it's all about technology, but what are your all's thoughts on Google Stadia? So let's set it up. Google Stadia, video game streaming service.
Yeah.
Coming to you from Google.
Yeah.
Kind of mimics the same thing as what we've seen from PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
And what Xbox is actually working on.
Yeah.
So that being said,
NVIDIA has been doing this for years, called GeForce Now.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this since like 2015.
So
with,
why
a
would
video
it
game
make a
streaming
difference
service.
that Google is going to catch on? Like what
Because
makes
Google has a lot more money than NVIDIA.
Yeah.
They have
and
the money.
They got big infrastructure.
Yeah.
And they can put a lot of games on there and make them stream real quick.
No, he's right. The quality and quantity. I mean, you can get a huge library, and you don't have to worry.
But you don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet, but I'm just saying we're hoping with Google that they put.
So far, we know you can get Doom, and that's it.
That's gonna
so
be
far.
awesome. Well, Google has already came out because there's been a lot of concerns about whether. And I actually read this right before the podcast, but a lot of concerns about streaming games. It's like if your internet connection's crap, it's like it's useless to you anyways. It's like how are you going to play your latest game in 4K 60 frames if you have a slow internet and you can't do anything. And Google has came out and stated that as long as you have a 30 megabyte speed, you can. They said that so far all their games have played just fine, 4K 60 frames per second. So I'm like, okay, that's impressive.
It is.
I was skeptical, and I think Sean, you had even said when we first read it, you had sent a text saying you were wondering about the streaming quality.
Yeah,
and
me and
speed.
Brandon were talking about it. We watched it on YouTube earlier, the announcement. And yeah, if you think about a 4K movie on Netflix, Netflix says that it requires 20 to 25 megabit connection for you to stream a 4K HDR movie at 60 frames. And that's a movie. That's rendered, and there's no input lag because there is no input. It's just being shown to you. You're not controlling it or manipulating it anyway.
That's a whole other thing that I wonder
so
about.
With it being that was my question. With it being streaming, I know, and Brandon pointed out to me, everything is being taken care of on the back end.
Yeah.
I mean, they're claiming that their machines that are going to be running these games can produce 10.5 teraflops.
No,
teraflops.
It was probably teraflops.
They said it was more power than the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X combined.
Okay, that's impressive.
And so that's for everybody that's streaming.
Okay.
You're
See,
getting
that's my thing. Is it's like this is
that's awesome.
When you're talking
rendering,
about a dedicated console, in your house, well, then I'm the only one using it. But if you're talking about that for possibly millions of users, or even if you wanted to say not a lot of people are subscribed, but even hundreds of thousands of users,
that's still impressive.
Insane.
That is insane.
That's an insane amount of data.
That's $11 billion. They said.
Well, that makes me feel bad because I was wondering. It's like because I mean you can even get it just on your console at home. You know, if you have even just the slightest bit of input lag, you know, you hit the trigger button and you're first person.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, okay, with streaming and I'm playing a first person shooter and I can't turn fast enough or pull the trigger fast enough, then you're screwed when you're playing a game. I mean,
well, and Sean and I talked a little bit about that too in terms of I don't think this is not obviously they're not shooting for.
Competitive
multiplayer. You know, it's like they're not looking. It's more for the casual gamer that wants to subscribe because that's the big question too. Is have they even mentioned tiers for this? So it's like you've got this subscription service. It's like okay, our depending on how much you're going to charge me per month, is this the Netflix of games? Is that what they want? Is that what gaming is becoming? And it's almost like with PlayStation Now, which we were talking about earlier, Sean, is not very the quality there is not. It's 720p.
Well, and it's all PS3 and older games.
Right.
There's no new AAA titles on there.
And this is supposed to literally be any kind of PC made game. Can be streamed. On this, I mean, the other cool thing is that they showed it off in a demo where when you it's whether it's a Stadia app or if it's just running in Google Chrome.
Running in the Chrome browser.
It's running in the Chrome browser. You can literally take it from screen to screen. And they showed an example. It's playing on a laptop. They take it to a phone, and then they go from the phone to a tablet, and then from that to a TV. And it literally is seamlessly the same gameplay. And they showed it running on a Google Chromecast, which is, Sean pointed out, it does not have any network Ethernet in, so it has to be running from Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So, I mean, conceivably, it's like, okay, yes, I guess technology is advancing that way.
Yeah. It's hard to kind of think that, you know, you're going to be able to get a similar experience. You know? Like on the PlayStation 4, you know exactly what it can do. And when you're thinking about streaming and, you know, any type of lag or if your internet drops, you know, it's just one of those things where you're very cautious about it because...
Well, and is the trade-off in the sense that, you know, if you can guarantee me 85, 90%, which it's all dependent on your Wi-Fi speeds, your internet speeds.
Absolutely.
But if your internet provider can guarantee you certain kinds of you know, consistent speeds of internet, it's like if Google's telling me that for most of the time I'm going to get 4K at 60 frames per second. I mean, hell, even if it's 1080. I mean, it's like if you're going to guarantee that to me, I'm okay with every once in a while a few drop frames or it glitches
absolutely.
and gets. I mean, we've all had that when you're streaming a movie.
Yeah.
And every once in a while your connection slows down. You
get a little
it gets blurry and pixelated. But at the end of the day, it's like you're willing to take that hit. And if you're playing a game that doesn't require, that competitive or quick, fast-paced action that you need to, you know, press a button real quick, it's like. I see this as a viable option.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see this as something that could possibly work out.
It's one of those things where I'm definitely intrigued by it. It may not be something like I adopt on launch, but as just like Netflix, as you know, it gets bigger and grows and they improve it. It is something that I would be looking at in the future. I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, with a PlayStation 5. Approaching in the next year or two, and Xbox's next console.
They're already working on that,
and and they're working on a console that does streaming only and all that. I kind of see this as something to really consider if they can hold up to what they're claiming. I was telling you earlier, like I use PS4 remote play. My kids are watching TV. I can't play my PS4 on the TV, so I'll hook up to my Mac in the other room. It's all Ethernet, so it's hardwired.
Yes.
So there's no bandwidth limit. I'm getting a direct connection from my PS4 to my Mac. And I'm telling you right now, even with the controller USB to the computer, there's a good half a second lag when I look around and move the thumbsticks. Like my guy on the screen playing Destiny, like it's so noticeable that it's very hard to play in that way. So, and that's with a hardwired connection in my own house on my own network.
Right.
I can't imagine how they're going to accomplish
and
a
then
lag-free experience.
I was going to say the only thing we're thinking here is, like you said, it's Google. I mean, if Google's footing the bill,
they're going to throw all the monies at it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, here's the thing. I will say this. Because I thought about it with PlayStation Now, even though I knew it was I thought it was back when they bought this. It was a gaming streaming service called Gaikai.
Yeah,
and they bought them out, and then they created PlayStation Now with it. And it was supposed to be amazing in the sense that it was like, we don't do backwards compatibility because you can stream gaming.
Yeah,
and honestly, the idea at the time sounded pretty amazing, and I thought, okay, Netflix for games, even if it's just the PlayStation library. But then they came out, it was a half-baked library. There were only certain titles from past consoles that were available. And then, not only that,
the quality
wasn't as good. And then I'm like, so why am I paying a subscription service for something that's
just
not
keep
that
my
great?
PS3 and the games on it.
Exactly. And that was the thing, is it was like, it was always better to play locally.
Yeah.
And to me, though, it does say that Google's betting a lot in the sense that they think, with the PlayStation 5 already having, Sony's confirmed they're working on it. Xbox is coming out with a discless version, but they've even stated they're working on a future console.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, if these two major corporations, which that's the whole beauty of the competition,
free market.
The free market is, it's like they're betting big on the fact that local console gaming is still going. I mean, and competitively, definitely.
Yeah.
But even for your casual gamer, is that local console, dedicated console for playing games, still going to matter more than if you're just streaming over the internet than if I were to take it from my TV and want to walk in on the sit down on the toilet, take a crap, and play a game, and then go lay down on my bed and play the same game seamlessly. And so it is kind of that question, and I think Google's taken that.
That's a big
taking that
draw
leap
for me is the instant nature of how you get this game delivered to you, because even in that announcement they showed the guy opens his Chrome browser. He was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it was like he opened his Chrome browser and it just popped up to where he was last time he left off. No loading. No, he says in the announcement, no downloads are being done. The game doesn't have to load. It is where you left off 3 days ago when you quit playing.
And a lot of it, too, they were saying is the whole point of this was that they're trying to break down the barrier of, like, if you watch GameCat, they said a lot of this was driven by YouTube and game streaming, and the fact that it's like when you're watching a stream of somebody playing a game, there literally will now be a box in the corner, or two different, one where you could join the game of the actual streamer, and then you get added to a queue. And of course, they had like 12 people, and Sean and I were trying
it's like 6,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to be in line with
Ali A or whatever his name is. You're going to be waiting in line with millions of people.
Yeah. But then the other cool thing is that you could potentially see the game and think, I want to give that a try. And then there's a button that literally it just says play.
It pops up
you
a
hit
Chrome
play,
window and your game is on.
And boom, you're ready to go. You're up and running.
Yeah.
And it's weird in the sense that I'm like, if it works like they say it's going to work, that would be pretty insane. That would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I still, again, I think about like back in the day with Sega Channel, you know, and it was like the whole, you had the whole idea of a constant
Sega
rotating.
Channel was pretty cool back then.
Oh, no doubt. It was super innovative, and it was honestly, way ahead of its time. And the idea that you could have this constant rotating library of games month to month was, again, ahead of its time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those are games that you could pick up and play for 5 minutes and be fine. I already think if there's too much content and too many movies on Netflix to watch,
you can only imagine.
Games, when you're spending 30, 40 hours in some of these games, it's like, how in the hell why do you need a streaming service for games?
Yeah, because then it begs the question, it's like, is the cost, because we don't know what the cost is yet, is it worth it? Because if you're, paying so much a month, but you're only getting to play, like, one game.
And even if your choice is to just say, I want to play this game.
Yeah.
But the convenience is to take it from screen to screen to screen. Yeah. But then again, if you're only playing 2 or 3 games, is it really justifying that cost?
Each individual will have to decide for themselves if it justifies the cost. It depends on you. But yeah, I mean, I do think the being able to pick it up anywhere is awesome, because I mean that's the best part of streaming, anyways. I mean that's why streaming's becoming the future. Is it's great to be able to go anywhere and just pick up your phone or pick up whatever and finish watching a movie you started at home, or finish a movie that you were watching on your TV and then you were going to bed, and it's like, well, let me just pull out my phone and I'll fall asleep finishing it. I mean, that's the brilliance of streaming anyways, and to be able to do that with games is going to be really impressive.
I think so too. I mean, I was intrigued. I don't like the name. I think the name's kind of hokey. I was like, I don't know what this is.
I'd like to know where that came from.
Right.
Stadia.
They said too that they were like, this was always apparently the plan. Like people who had said it was going to be a console, the Google console. They were like, no, it was always supposed to be a streaming service. Mm-hmm. So this has been their goal from the outset.
Yeah.
And again, I'm intrigued by it, but I guess as somebody who's kind of fallen out of gaming myself, I understand where they think they can make headway in this.
Yeah.
And maybe they can be the game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just don't know how lucrative it may be for them. Obviously, they think so. They're betting a lot on it.
If it does what they say they'll do, I'll probably buy into it and quit buying consoles.
Yeah.
Because they are the console.
I have no doubt that's
and
what they're expecting.
Their servers that are serving these games up are always going to be up to date.
Right.
Where my console, I'm going to have to spend another $400 or $500 every 2 or 3 years to update it. They're going to have the latest games with the latest hardware. All I got to have is my own controller. You don't even have to use theirs.
Right. Even though they didn't, that was the one piece of hardware they made.
That's the only piece of hardware they made.
A Google controller.
I would gladly pay, and I just threw out numbers earlier. If it was $99 for the controller and $30 a month for the service, take my money.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll never buy another PlayStation.
Okay.
Now, the only thing that would steer me away from that is if I can't play with my buddies who are playing on PlayStation. If there's no cross-play, then your buddy's got to be buying into it too for you to still be able to play.
You can already believe
that would be the only thing.
Sony's not doing that.
They're not going to do it.
With Microsoft, why the hell would they do it with Google?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, but not only that, but even trying to play nice with I don't think Microsoft.
I don't think.
Well,
they want
that
they've got their own service coming. So
yeah.
Exactly.
So that limits some of the multiplayer aspects of that. But still, if you can play The Witcher 3, it's not a multiplayer game. Never was made to be. But if I can play The Witcher 3 in 4K HDR at 60 frames anywhere I want, that's worth it to me.
Yeah.
Like another game.
And
like
here's the thing,
Skyrim.
And this is what
like
I think Sony's been betting on ever since the first PlayStation. And the fact is the reason why they can stay in the console game is exclusives.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, there are still games being made with their first-party studios that you can't get anywhere else, and that's the whole point. And Sony knew that early on. When they got into this game, they were like, we're going to need things you can't get anywhere else. And I'm sorry, but maybe not every console, but so far it's like when you look at your Metal Gears, Final Fantasies, Uncharted, Last of Us, and now with your Spider-Mans, I mean, it's like there are these exclusives that Sony has that has kept them in the game for this long.
The
and
Last
made
Guardian.
Them. Yeah.
That was a joke.
But no, but the weird thing is it's a joke, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of fans out there who, I mean, God of War, it's like there's these pinnacle, like these very huge titles that have come out on Sony platforms that allow them to continue to sell hardware, because when you can play them on there and that's the only place you can play them. But yeah, you got all these other third party like your Assassin's Creeds and the things you would get on a Google Stadia or an Xbox. It's like, yes, I could, but I still need that exclusive content.
Yeah.
And if that's what's driving the sales of the hardware or the consoles, again, that's where Sony's going to make their money. But then they're also going to make money on the software on the back end. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing more details about it. Right now I'm like with you,
They didn't
Keith.
give a launch window, did they?
No, I don't think so.
They didn't.
No. I'll say though, I'm intrigued, but I'm also with Keith. I'm not a first generation. Like, I'll have to see what happens. But
Yeah. I want to see it work.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I want
where
to see
I'm
it
at.
work in a normal person's house, not someone who's got, a 1 terabyte connection or Google Fiber or whatever. I want to see somebody with a 50 to 100 megabit internet connection have lag-free gaming at those resolutions and stuff, and then I'll kind of be sold on
Same here.
being able to play all my single player games on there in the way they were made to be played. Because I mean, to be honest with you, what we're presented with right now, the Xbox One X has not necessarily met everyone's expectations.
No.
And I, as a new owner of the
PS4 Pro.
I'm not impressed at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if I can play 4K 60 HDR uninterrupted.
Again, I think
me.
it still comes down to I think the focus on anything streaming is casual gamer.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, any kind of hardcore gamer or a competitive gamer,
Oh, no.
it's not going to be for you.
It's not going to work.
No, not at all. So with that being said, if there is some kind of Google employee out there that just happens to be watching,
you want to prove us wrong?
Yeah.
Just send us an email.
Boom, Keith, you're on it, man. Check it out. Look at you.
And how would they do that?
How would they do that?
I don't know, Keith. You're up. Why don't you tell them?
Am I up? Oh, is it on the screen?
It's on the screen.
Point.
Where are we at here? We're just going
down. No. Oh, other way. Ooh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
He's touched
Right,
that.
right.
Oh, boom. Sean, you went through it.
Anyways,
you
you
went
can
through it.
email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
That was beautiful. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, try.
I'll try. RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Was that you gurgling
I
there?
don't know what that was.
Switching cameras is what it was.
I was switching cameras.
Switching cameras around. But we also, we're on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Well, you can leave a comment on YouTube or on Facebook. And, reach us that way. That's a brilliant idea, Sean.
Well, I thought so.
You're a smart man.
From time to time.
From time to time.
Mm-hmm.
He
Time
does his
time.
part on this show.
Yeah.
I would say each week.
Gray hair means wisdom.
I don't know if I agree
Now,
with
all
that.
I'm thinking of now is like, what is it? Between knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, George Lucas didn't have any of that either.
I was like, I don't know where's that.
Here's a Camino saber dart.
Yeah, that's awful. Just terrible. But yes, guys, right there in the corner. RMPodcast.
He wasn't sure. I saw that.
I have to do a double take. The screens.
Don't
It's
know where
all
we're
there's so
going.
many screens. RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com. Absolutely. Send us an email. And again, check us out on social. We want to thank you all for being a part of this show this week.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out next week on Great Day Live on Channel 11.
Yes,
true.
that's
At,
right.
10 a.m.
That's
10
right.
a.m.
10 a.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. That's right. And we'll probably be on their Facebook page. Great Day Live, 10 a.m., WHAS 11. Also going to be on the noon show that day.
Huh.
Keith and Sean.
Brandon
you all
likes to
won't be
promote
there.
himself a lot.
Yeah.
I'm the
He
face
is.
of Red Moon.
Yeah.
Come
He
on,
is.
let's face it.
He's very conceited.
So, obviously, yes, on the noon show next week, I'll be repping our show for next week's live episode at 9 p.m. on Thursday nights. But also on the 4 p.m., you can catch us promoting it too. Trying to get as many people
And
as
then,
we can.
of course, we'll have the live podcast at 9 p.m. as usual.
Absolutely. And that's the whole reason we're doing
Eastern.
this.
Eastern.
That's
You
for
have
our
to say it.
I think our Canadian listeners in the Eastern time
Yeah.
zone. Yeah, I think so. But our
sure.
obviously
we still
the UK
have
listeners
the UK
not.
listener,
Yeah.
the Australian
Yeah.
listener dropped off years ago.
Yeah, they don't. No, they don't like
We
us.
have
got
a
tired of us,
very Canadian person following us on
Yeah.
on Twitter
Shout
now.
out! Thank you for watching,
Yeah.
and listening.
Thank you.
We
Yeah.
love it.
Continue to watch.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Please continue to follow us, like us, subscribe, all those things.
We have to
on our
state
social.
Eastern so that the Egyptian A&W we get a root beer from.
Oh,
knows.
God.
So they know
far
exactly.
back.
They know exactly when to watch.
It's great on tap. All right, guys. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham, stinky, voluptuous kookaburra, slap-staining, curdled British muffin prawns.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.